And welcome back. Now, the country's tourism industry is one of many that have been really hard hit by the coronavirus pandemic. The industry has welcomed government's decision to move the country back to alert level 1 of our nationwide lockdown, which makes way for the reopening of 5 airports for international travel. But with the Easter holidays just weeks away, it's local tourism that South Africans are encouraged to partake in as the country's tourism industry slowly but surely starts to recover from the devastating impact of the pandemic. And one such campaign that we are seeing at the moment, especially around this year's Easter holidays, is Eastern Cape SUV Challenge, which seeks to promote domestic tourism as well as spread a message of road safety. And joining us now to talk about this is Sisa Ntshona, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the South African Tourism, as well as Siya Mbete, who is the founder of Siyavuya Foundation, which organises this particular challenge. Thank you so much to both of you, but starting with you, Sisa, welcome to Morning Live and thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Sakina. Always a pleasure to be with you.
So alert level 1 of the lockdown, a welcome development for just about everyone, I would imagine. But have you measured the impact, especially in terms of monetary losses on the tourism sector since the start of this pandemic?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you are right that lockdown level 1 is welcomed. You know, you can almost see a correlation between the lockdown levels and the level of business that the tourism sector is able to do. So the higher the lockdown, the more stringent it is and the impact is bigger on the sector. So lockdown level 1 is definitely a welcome. Secondly, as well, I think we also need to be very circumspect as a country, that we do know when the levels are relaxed, we also tend to relax, and then that sets us back and we regress essentially. So it's important that we travel, but to travel safely, both from the establishment side and also essentially from the travelers ourselves. The responsibility lies essentially on both sides. We are still telling, the impact and the consequence of the pandemic. It's not yet over. So it's almost like a rolling basis, basically, in terms of how quickly we can recover. The priority for us is to essentially make sure that we can protect businesses so that through this difficult time, that they are able at least to maintain, so that they don't close down, so that eventually when things do open up, we do have a tourism sector to speak of. So domestic tourism is our bread and butter for the foreseeable future, and we do encourage South Africans to really find their joy in the country. Go to those hidden gems, open spaces, off the beaten track, and discover your love for the country again.
So, as you say, at this point, obviously, a great emphasis on domestic travel. But we understand that, some of the other airports, 5 airports, are open as well for international travel. Has there been any indication of interest from the international market since this move to level 1, Sisa?
Sure. So for international tourism to happen, it takes 2 to tango, essentially. And remember, even at lockdown level 3, essentially 3 airports were opened: Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Durban, essentially. Now we've added 2 more, which is Lanseria and the Kruger National Park one. Now, what it is, though, is to understand that our key source markets, and I'm talking about the US, I'm talking about Europe, essentially, and even Asia, they themselves are in lockdown, right? So even though we may be open and ready for them, the fact that they can't be able to travel perspective. So essentially, as I said, it takes 2 to tango. Our side is open. We are now just waiting for them, to further relax their own lockdowns in order for them to travel. Then lastly as well is that, in tourism circles, we've adopted this year as the year of the vaccine, right? And essentially, it's all about how quickly we can roll out the vaccine that gives a step of confidence for people that want to travel to our destination, that at least we do provide some level of safety as well, and our people are actually being rolled out in terms of the vaccine.
Let's bring Siya into the conversation. Siya, please tell us more about the SUV challenge and also what inspired the idea behind it. As we understand, it is now in its 3rd year.
Thank you so much. Good morning to you and good morning to your viewers. It's exciting times for the SUV challenge. Just to give you a little bit of a story, I hope I'm not going to take too much of your time, but what inspired the SUV challenge is that one day I was driving in Eastern Cape. I've shared the story with Sisa the first time I met him. I was driving down in Eastern Cape, and I was going to some of our rural beaches. And I think it was Dwesa Nature Reserve, where I was followed by 3 boys running after the car. And then they sort of asked me, what car is this? They were like, I've never seen a car like this. We're excited, and we're like, one of them was saying, one day I will actually drive a car like this. I realized that 20 years ago, I was that boy. And I had so many dreams and ambitions to achieve in life. And I realized it's sometimes small things that you do that can inspire the kids in the rural areas. Someone from Gauteng or from Western Cape can take it light that what is it with the cars, But if you go to these deep rural areas while you are doing the touring and adventure, you sort of inspire the young generation and encourage them to work hard and achieve their dreams. So basically what inspired the SUV Challenge is the youth of Eastern Cape. It's the people of rural Eastern Cape that are actually admiring the tour and appreciating that we are visiting this beautiful province. And they're showcasing the culture, they're showcasing the food, they're showcasing all these things that attract the international communities into the Eastern Cape. Thank you so much.
And quite a story there, Siya, and looking at the theme for this year, Road Safety Heritage Tour Back to School, which is quite a combination. Talk to us about the thinking behind that, and also, what route will you be taking this year and the significance of the route?
Lovely. Thank you so much. One, the heritage, we know Eastern Cape is a home of legends, and it is has a rich heritage, and that has not been explored. We call it home of legend, but how do we now make it and convert and commercialize the home of legends and make it a sort of a low-hanging fruit in terms of the tourism sector? The route that we are going to be taking, it is basically going to be Wild Coast to Bavian's Kloof. We have stopovers. We are going to Mama Winnie's village. We're going to Mbongweni. We're going to Nkandolo, which is Tata Oartambo's village. And then we move to Mkhake's really great place, where we're going to also be having an activation there on Friday, the 5th. So we are trying to make sure that this SUV challenge, it goes through these icons, struggle icons, homes, and also maybe government will see value when we bring even international tourists to these destinations, that they can develop them. We're talking of new smart cities. Some of these cities can be built around these struggle icons home, so that it can empower the communities around these areas. And thank you so much.
And Sisa, just bringing it back to you, speaking of these local campaigns, what will be your role in this year's Eastern Cape SUV Challenge? And, also just speaking to further opportunities that local tourists can look forward to over this Easter period.
Yeah, it's all about partnerships. The entrepreneurs are the ones that make it happen. We partner with them essentially to shine the spotlight in those areas. When we speak about the recovery of the sector as well, we really want to address some of the gaps that we had previously, around maybe rural side not featuring so significantly in our tourism packaging. So now we are really shining the spotlight in essentially those hidden gems, those ones that are out in the rural side, putting them into the center as well, so that it adds to our product mix. So I previously probably could think of 5 or 6 things. We want you to have an array of things, 20, 30 of them, and explore them differently. And I think, as Siya had said, this is a springboard, to the rest of the world. We get this right, we start to really get on with it, as it were, then we can start to absorb the international world in. Trends are certainly telling us that the international traveler no longer just want to take pictures and move away, but they want to immerse ourselves in the colors, in the food, the flavors, the culture as well. And initiatives like these really bring that to the fore. We've got 9 beautiful provinces that feature very different aspects of it, and the Eastern Cape is really showing off what it has today.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this morning. And, hopefully many people will try and head out. I know everybody is tired of being cooped up. Not saying let down your guard, still do it safely and responsibly. But it really sounds like a fabulous prospect in terms of what to do with your time. Thank you to Sisa Ntshona, who is the Chief Executive Officer of South African Tourism, and Siya Mbete, who is founder of the Siyavuya Foundation, talking to us about the impact of being back on alert level 1 on the tourism industry, as well as this year's Eastern Cape SUV tourism initiative. So that's what you can look forward to. But of course, hopefully we'll speak about many more opportunities as well. Right now,